Welcome to the third episode of this podcast, How Universities Can Help to Tackle Urban Challenges, Learnings from Ghent. In this series, we're exploring the many ways in which cities and their universities can collaborate, and we're especially focusing on community-based research and learning and what makes Ghent so good at it. I'm your host, Sarah, and joining me today are two special guests who are heavily involved in city-university collaboration in the City of Ghent. Welcome, Maaike and Evelyne.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you both for being here. To kick things off, could you each briefly introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about what you do?
Okay, so I'm Evelyne Deceur, and I'm a civil servant. I work for the City of Ghent, and I work for the so-called Unit of Policy Participation.
A lot of peace.
A lot of peace, yes. And I am a neighborhood manager and also a member of the team of the citizens' budgets.
Okay. And Maaike?
I am a teacher in the bachelor program of applied psychology at Artevelde University of Applied Sciences, and I used to work as an educational policy officer with a focus on community-engaged learning.
Yeah, great to have you both. Before we dive into the details of the collaboration, I'd like to set the stage a bit. We know that both cities and higher education institutions are facing significant societal challenges. Could you start by highlighting some of these key developments and how they are impacting both the City of Ghent and its universities?
Okay, shall I start?
Yes.
From the City of Ghent. I can say that, well, and Maaike will acknowledge this, that we are living in a very rapidly changing world and society, and that poses, as you said, Sarah, significant challenges for the future of our planet and our communities, but also in the city. And key issues, they include urbanization, questions on sustainability, democratic shifts, and so on. And from what I see as a neighborhood manager in Ghent, I would say that we face a lot of challenges such as poverty, loneliness, housing, also climate change, mobility, the pressure on public space, and so on. A lot of issues.
Yeah.
Then I shall add from the perspective of higher education.
Yeah.
Of course, these trends also affect higher education institutions, as we're not isolated from the rest of society, let's say. And I would like to start with a quote from the director of the European Universities Association, Michael Murphy, who said, "When looking to the future, we envision universities without walls.
Yeah.
These are open and engaged in society while retaining their core values." So we do see that higher education institutions are called upon to address societal planetary challenges and also to connect their missions of research teaching to service to local society. And therefore, it's important to break down institutional walls and to literally step into society. And that is what we are seeing right now. We do see some trends in higher education towards collaborating more and more with societal partners, with the city, to address complex and sometimes also wicked problems. We also see a shift in teaching towards more challenge-based education and interdisciplinary research and learning projects to address these challenges.
Now, what exactly motivated the City of Ghent and its universities to work together? Why is it so important to do so?
I think it's very important because what Maaike said is let's step into society. But for me, or for the City of Ghent, the higher education institutions, they are already part of this society. So they don't have to really step into society, are part of the society. So, okay, let's break down the walls because they have become islands, I would say. But it's very natural, it's very useful to really work together. What I learned from the unit of policy participation and from my position as a neighborhood manager, I would say that there are like two approaches to co-creation and participation. There is a project approach in which students, lecturers, institutions, they come together and they think about activities and initiatives and projects for the city. And but I think that there's also a second approach, and it's the social approach that I would like to focus upon because they have a role in the city already. They are there. The social and the projects approach, they are both needed and complementary.
So from the perspective of higher education, if we look at the 3 core missions, we have teaching, research, and service to society. If we look at teaching, we see that if we educate our students in a local context, we have a much more richer learning environment, and at the same time we can create more or generate more impact locally, both for students and for society. And as Evelyne just mentioned, we are there with lots of students in the city, where this really puts a pressure on the city, and we should not only enjoy the city and the environment and the learning environment, but we should also give back to that environment. And that's what higher education institutions try to do more and more, let's say. From the perspective of research, we see that if you engage with local partners, and especially from the social approach, you really go deeply into a social issue with your students and research teachers, then we can obtain new and very interesting research questions. And from the perspective of service to society, it's a nice way of engaging with society while creating impact and meanwhile working towards teaching and research goals.
Can you give some specific examples of projects or initiatives where the city and higher education institutions have successfully collaborated?
Okay, I think Evelyne can give a lot of examples. I just give one particular example from Artevelde University of Applied Science, and it's a close collaboration that we have with a local NGO that reaches out to undocumented migrants and refugees. So at one point, the program of dental hygiene started to work together with the NGO, and the students of the dental hygiene bachelor program, they provide free counseling for those people that the NGO serves. And this, at the same time, provides students with a very interesting learning experience, while also getting acquainted with the thresholds, for example, of primary care for vulnerable groups in society.
You have a million examples, Maaike just mentioned, so I'm very curious now.
Well, let's say I'll give you 2 examples. Okay. So the last couple of years, students actively talk to the residents, young and old, from all backgrounds, to get to know their ideas, especially on the public space there in the neighborhood, around the apartments. So, and that resulted in a plan for the citizens' budgets. And last January, so a couple of months ago, they got the means to realize these ideas. So in the next coming weeks, together with my colleagues of the Green Department of the City of Ghent, the residents, but students will be planting, I think, thousands of flower bulbs in the public space around the social apartment buildings. So this is like one example. You could say it's a small example, but it's very actively engaging in space. And then there's the second example, and I think this is the most striking example, is this very thorough form of action research, we could say. Again, with the students of Artevelde University College, we started a youth center together with the teenagers of the neighborhood. These teenagers, they were like fed up with all the researchers and students coming over to talk to them, and they just wanted to have a place of their own. So we experimented. We opened a youth center together with the students, together with one lecturer there, to support the students, but also with the teenagers of the neighborhood. And these students, together with the lecturer and the teenager, after a year of experiments, they convinced the youth department of the City of Ghent to keep supporting the youth center, also financially. So the youth center now entered his 3rd year, and every week about 30 girls and boys, age 11 till 18, they show up just to chill. Sometimes they make their homework, but they have their own place in the neighborhood, and there was no place there before for them.
Okay, and is it the building of...
It's a building of the city, so we gave a place to the youth center. But I think that the main fact was that there were like students there who said, okay, let's take these answers, this signal, serious, and let's just do something. It's enough. We talked enough just let's do something together. And we see even after all these years that students who already graduated are still there.
Okay.
In a way, still from sometimes from a very long distance, but if there are activities, they come by just to say hi. So
okay, that's nice.
Yeah, really nice to see.
Yeah. These examples, they highlight the potential of such partnerships between city governments and schools. But as with many collaborations, I can imagine there must have been some challenges along the way. What lessons have you both learned from working together, and what advice would you share with others looking to build similar partnerships, Maaike?
I think first is building a sustainable network with local partners. Not change partnerships every year, but really build a sustainable, stable, structured relationship. We often see from the perspective of higher education that individual teachers who are very engaged, they start projects with local organizations. But when the teachers quit the school, the projects and the collaboration also leave the stage. So that is problematic. So from the perspective of higher education, there is a need of an overview of existing partnerships and also of a steady presence, a person within the higher education institution that actually has the overview, who has a presence in the different neighborhoods, etc. So this is very important to start with. And a second important point is the need for reciprocity. If we always send our students into the community to ask what are their needs and to do some research, that's not really a reciprocal relationship. So we need to be attentive to not start from the learning needs of the students alone, but to look at what are the needs of the community. And then we can look together which kind of collaborations can we start in the neighborhoods. And secondly, we need to evolve into more interdisciplinary approaches when doing projects and collaborations in the local communities.
Mm-hmm. Evelyne, can you add on to what Maaike mentioned?
She said already a lot of good things, so I would agree with her. I think for me there are like 2 points that are very important. The need for a steady presence, that's what Maaike already said, but also in the neighborhood for us, the fact that Anne was there, she was a community anchor. She was really visible also in the community, but also in the partnership and in the network. And there was like one single point of contact, which was really important for us.
Yeah. You mean Anne Keppens?
Anne Keppens.
She's also in another episode of the podcast.
Very good.
Yeah.
And then the second point is also the importance of infrastructure. I think that Artevelde University College has a very nice building in the neighborhood where I work. That infrastructure is really important to create a space, really create a place to make things happen. But also from the city side, we have to embrace also the fact that we have infrastructure, not only in public space, but also inner public space in the inside. And the space can be a stage really to show what is happening there. So the importance of infrastructure, the importance of place and space is really important as well.
You mean to literally open the doors of these infrastructures?
Yes, but also to, it's like, you could say, a kind of stepping stone towards substantive collaboration, building trust, also establishing sometimes new rules and procedures, which is not always good, but I should say challenge the existing rules and procedures sometimes. If there's a building there and there's no one there in the evening or in the weekends, and we have a lot of questions in the neighborhood of using or people asking for a place to do activities in the weekends and in the evenings, why can't we open up the buildings? So we have to challenge these rules and procedures. And sometimes this single point of contact is then really important, but because she's the key actor to open up the building, not literally, but not in giving us the keys, but in talking to her colleagues in what way we can respond or really get beyond the question of insurance, key issues, and so on, opening up the doors, who will do the cleaning, and so on, and so on.
All right. Thank you both, Maaike and Evelyne, for sharing your thoughts. I found it very interesting to hear about the impact this collaboration has on both the City of Ghent and its higher education institutions. So thank you for that. Next episode, I'll be in conversation with the driving forces behind 5 different initiatives in the City of Ghent. So bye for now.